Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to 31 Days of Pomp-o-Ween. If you're new here, then welcome. My name is Pompberry, and Pomp-o-Ween is my favorite time of the year because I get to celebrate Halloween all month long. I publish one Halloween tutorial a day during the month of October for you guys. If you're not new here, then welcome back. If you were here yesterday and the day before, you'll know what I'm doing today. And if you read the title, you'll also know. But anyway, today I'm going to be doing the cover of Diablo 3. If you've watched the two previous videos, you'll know how much the Diablo game series means to me, and I'm not the biggest fan of Diablo 3, but I figured I had to do it to complete the trilogy. The cover is really awesome though, and so that's what I'm going to be doing today. I did the cover of Diablo 1 2 days ago, and the cover of Diablo 2 yesterday, so if you want to check those out, click here to watch the playlist of all this year's Pomp-o-Ween videos. While I was doing the research, I originally found this image right here, which I really wanted to do, but that's not the cover, and I couldn't find anywhere on the internet to see if that's official art or if that's fan art. I figure it's probably fan art, and so unfortunately I'm not going to be doing that to keep with the theme of doing the covers from the games. So today I'm going to be doing this, but on my face. I have a digital face chart of myself that's basically a photo that I took of me looking forward, and then I just traced the outlines and created a face chart. And so I superimposed this image onto my face chart so I can get the proportions right, and that's what I'm going to be referencing today. I've already gone ahead and covered up my eyebrows with glue. If you don't know how to do that and want to learn, I'm going to leave a link right up here and down below on how to cover up your brows. And my brows are bleached, that's why you don't see them. There's no foundation or concealer over them. That's it. I'm gonna get started. But before I begin, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and give this a thumbs up if you are a Diablo or Blizzard fan. I'm gonna go ahead and prep my skin using the Derma Shield Ultimate Skin Protectant. This is a barrier cream that's designed to protect sensitive skin, and it's safe for using on the face. I like to apply this when I use face paints because you can see I am really prone to breakouts, and I feel like face paint aggravates my breakouts, and so this just adds a little layer of protection. And today I think I'm going to be using all water activated face paints. I'm going to use my Wolf palette. I'm going to be mainly working with the black, gray, orange, and probably a little bit of red too. And first I'm going to start by mapping out the eyes, the nose, and the mouth using the orange. You just need to drop a little drop of water in there, and then I'm using a very small liner paintbrush. I'm not using a makeup brush for this, and I'm going to just kind of position where the eyes are gonna go. This is just the initial sketch, so this is just so I can kind of figure out where everything's gonna go. And then the nose is going to be far above my own nose. I'm going to hide my nose within the design. And then the mouth is going to be here above my upper lip. So once that's mapped out, I'm cleaning off my brush, and I'm gonna go in with the gray to start mapping out the bone structure. So he's got big old furrowed brows, which are kind of like the first thing you see. The bridge of the nose is pretty wide. His cheekbone is going to be right kind of under my eye. Then he's got this like weird bone thing. And I'm going to make this design just fade into black so that I don't have to worry about the perimeter of my face. And because this is like a horn that comes out, so I'm just going to fade it to black so that I don't have to worry about all that. And the reason that I'm starting this out with gray is because if I make any mistakes, I can just easily erase it. And the bottom teeth are going to be on my lips, but I just want to quickly kind of define where they're gonna be. There's a very teeny tiny chin. Okay, so it probably doesn't look like anything now, but that's the initial sketch. Now I'm gonna mix some black and gray together just so I can get a darker gray, and I'm going to start filling in these shapes that I created. Hopefully you'll be able to start seeing his face a little bit better. And I'm leaving blank the areas that I know are going to be pitch black. There's no point filling that in with the gray. And then to fill in this area, I'm going to mix some red and black. So I want like a really deep maroon color. I might mix some brown in there as well. Yeah, I definitely need brown in there. So I'm going to fill in this area, and that will fade to black as well. I'm going to take that on the forehead part too. I know it looks crazy right now, but it'll all make sense. Then I'm going to go straight in with the black. And here I can start really shaping out and defining the face and being more precise with it. This is just going to be a lot of me following the reference. There's not much that I can teach here. I'm just eyeballing everything. But as I said, I have it on a face chart so I can compare where the lines go on the face chart to where they go on my face. So that's the easiest way I find to do a recreation like this, so that I'm not completely lost and I know what the proportions are supposed to look like on my face. And I don't like using traditional face charts because they don't have my proportions. So if I do something on a traditional face chart, like a MAC face chart, I know it's not going to look like that on me because I don't have those proportions. And so whenever I do sketch anything out or plan anything, it's on a face chart of literally my face. I'm using a flat brush to kind of blend the black into the gray. I'm going to start painting the black around the perimeter to create that fade. I'm not going to worry about painting my ears or anything. I'm going to put on a headband to hide them. And then once I have a little bit less product on my brush, I can start blending it inwards. And once I've done the perimeter, I'm going to go back to doing kind of inside the face. So I think that's about as much as I can do with this thick brush. I'm going to move on to a smaller brush and start detailing. And his skin basically looks like he's made of rocks. So I have to kind of give it this gritty rock texture, essentially. So he's just full of like tiny, tiny little ridges and bumps and things like that. This is going to be a tough texture to do, I think. I'm going to try to replicate it as best I can, obviously, but artistic licenses might be taken. I'm also going to draw the teeth. They're actually quite small when you compare them to the rest of his face. And the reason I said I wasn't a huge fan of Diablo 3 is that the reason I loved Diablo growing up was that it was absolutely terrifying. If you go back now and play the first Diablo, the ambiance that they create is absolutely terrifying. Like the background noises mixed in with the soundtrack and just the overall feeling of the game, it's pretty terrifying. And Diablo 3 is like literal rainbows and butterflies, and it just looks too much like World of Warcraft for me. I love World of Warcraft. I played it for years and I love it, but I don't think it belongs in Diablo. And I understand that they created Diablo 3 for the newer generation of gamers, but I still think the whole charm of Diablo is that it was terrifying and the proportions were like realistic. They had normal sized armor. I just don't like Diablo 3 basically for its aesthetics and for the fact that it isn't scary at all. Now the graphics, like the CGI, is obviously gorgeous. Blizzard outdo themselves every single year with everything they make, but it's just not scary. So I didn't play a lot of it. I did play the beta like before it was even released, and I was like super excited that I got the chance to play it, but then I played it and I was like, oh. So I'm basically just drawing a bunch of like little ridges. And this will make more sense and come to life once I get to highlighting all of this. I'm gonna go in with some light grays and do the same thing. Kind of just randomly letting the brush do whatever it wants on my face. I'm just somewhat directing it according to the patterns I see in the original sketch. Kind of letting the brush dance around. You know what's funny is that I would never ever attempt to replicate this painting digitally or like on paper with paint or whatever. And yet I'm attempting to replicate it on my face. Like when I look at this painting, I'm like, oh, I can't paint that. Like that's way too out of my skill set. But then when I think like, oh, I'm gonna put that on my face, I'm like, yeah, sure, la-di-da. As if it's like no big deal. Like, what am I thinking? I don't know why my brain acts like this. It's like I objectively know that it's too hard for me to paint. Like it's out of my skill set, and yet here I am. Maybe one day I should attempt to paint something like this, not on my face. Then he's got some weird ridges over here that are just gonna be black for now. Looking great. Now I think I'm gonna do the bottom teeth because I haven't really touched that at all. And lots of little ridges again. Still kind of confusing. You still probably can't tell what's happening here, but we'll get there, I promise. Going to move on to the eye area, and there isn't much black here. A lot of gray and reflected orange from the eye that's glowing, but I'll get some like little lines in there. Now I'm gonna go in with some white face paint. This is also by Wolf, and I'm going to start adding some highlights, but I don't want pure white. I'm going to mix it with the gray that's there. I just want to lighten up that gray. So I'm adding just a little bit of white and then mixing it in with the gray, and I'm gonna do some textures with this as well. But that's going to start helping to add volume. Just kind of dotting the white on first. Then I'm cleaning off my brush, blending that out so that it's just a lighter gray. And the thing with water-based paints is that they reactivate when you wet them. So they're great for layering if you want to mix the colors on the face. But they're also not great if you don't want that to happen. But in this case, that's why I'm using water-based paints, so that I can mix them on my face and just work with layers of color that way. I'm also mixing that white with some of this dark red. By dotting on the white instead of doing like solid lines, it'll give a lot more texture. That's what I want. I want all the texture I can get with this. So you can see the difference between both sides. This one is already starting to look a lot better. So that's the first stage of highlighting done. I still have to go in and do a lot more, but now I'm going to do the orange bits, which are the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And I'm going to be doing that with the Suva Beauty Hydroliners in the color Acid Trip, which is the neon orange. Whoa! And Dance Party, which is the neon yellow. And I'm going to start with the orange, and it is also water activated like the face paints. And I'm going to go in and just really define the shape that I want for the eyes. And then I can really define the nose as well. And that goes all the way down in between the teeth. And there's also a little line down here as well. Now I'm going to take the yellow and I'm going to do the inside most part of all these areas. I'm doing a few layers of the yellow to make sure it's really visible. I find that with this yellow I have to do more than one layer. Now once that's done, I can go in. Ooh, that feels weird. It's really stiff on my mouth. That's what she said. I'm going to go in and really define the shape of the nose with the black a bit better. I've mixed up some more of that dark maroon color. I'm going to use it to shade certain areas. Go over the black here and shade like the teeth, because I want them to have like a reflection of that red, and especially around the eyes. I'm going to fill all this in, and then I'm going to highlight and all that. Now I'm going to take the normal orange, not the neon one, to start doing highlights around the eyes. Just going to be drawing like little ridges. He looks like he could benefit from some eye cream. He's got a lot of little wrinkles and ridges around the eyes. I'm definitely going to have to layer this, because this is going to dry a lot darker because it's such a thin layer on a dark background. So I'm gonna keep going in and doing layers till I get the result that I want, and waiting for it to dry between layers. So I just finished this side, and then I'm going in for a second layer on this side. And I want it to be lightest right in the center, because that's where the eye is radiating light. Then while this dries and I'm waiting to do a third layer, I'm gonna go back with that maroon color and just do some more detailing and add some maroon here and there. And then I'm going inside the mouth, because he has like a weird, you can see basically like inside and behind his teeth, and I don't think that's gonna translate in my interpretation. But now I'm going to take the yellow from the Wolf palette, not the neon one, and I'm going to further highlight around the eye area. This will like really sell the idea of the reflections. Now I'm going to use a light wash of a dark gray so I can add further depth to certain areas. Just really want to add more volume. Now I'm going to go back in with white on a teeny tiny brush so that I can start doing little tiny highlights here and there. This is really going to help with the texture. I'm going to use it here around the eyes too. And this is going to add so much little texture. Do the reflection on the teeth. Then I especially want to do these areas. I totally kind of neglected this ridge area up here, and now I'm just highlighting it, and that's really going to bring it out. And I'm camouflaging my eyelashes by applying just a little bit of white on them and kind of taking off the excess, and then that kind of just camouflages right in. Because you can see that the black has kind of worn off my lids, it does transfer on the eyelids a little bit. I'm going to go in with the NYX Epic Ink Liner. This does a better job of not transferring, and I'm just going to intensify this black line right here. And this one needs to be thickened. There we go. That's a lot better. Now I'm going to go in with just some of the pure gray and just do a few highlights here and there. This right here needs to be thickened up. Since this dark part in the mouth isn't really translating, I'm just gonna go back over it with some neon orange. That just looks a little better. Now I think I'm done with the face paints. I'm going to do some further detailing with eyeshadows now. And I'm going to start with Sugar Pill's Taco. It is a matte white shadow. And I'm going to take it on a very pointed pencil brush. And I'm just going to further intensify certain highlighted areas. And this kind of smooths over everything and gives it a softer appearance, which I quite like. And then I'm also using this eyeshadow to extend these parts, kind of fading it into my hairline. Now I'm going to take the Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette, and I'm going to use the color Bonnie, which is super intense matte black. And I'm going to use that to further intensify certain shadows. And this also helps to remove the shine from the face paint, which I really want. The less reflection I can get, the better. Blending this part down. You can see that just gives so much more depth. I'm going to use that black to fade the edges out. Now I'm going to take the Melt Impulsive palette and not stick my nail in it. And I'm going to use the color Boss Lady. I'm going to use that on and around my forehead. So I want to get a smoother blend between this maroon and the black. And I'm also going to use it down here. I'm going to use it on these areas. And then I'm taking Bonnie again to further blend this out. I took a selfie to see how it's looking, and I'm going to make one minor adjustment. I'm just going to reduce the size of the nose. I'm going to make it a little bit skinnier. And because you can see that the highlights kind of faded off of my lids, I'm going to redo them, and then I'm going to set them with some powder. And even though water activated paints don't need to be set, the oils on the lids can mess them up, and so the powder is just good to keep those oils at bay. So I've redone that, and now that it's dry, I'm just taking some translucent powder. Then I think I'm also going to take some eyeshadow. I'm taking the Sugar Pill Flame Point, which is the orange. I'm just going to go over all of that. And Love Plus, which is the red. And then a little bit of the yellow, Butter Cupcake, and apply it only to the center. Now we are almost done. I just want to do two more things. I'm going to take my eyeliner again, and I'm just going to thicken and darken up this line right above the eye. This would be considered done, but I want to add a few more little highlights, which aren't in the original painting, but I think it'll really make everything pop. Because this is a different medium, sometimes you need to take artistic liberty. And so I'm going to add certain highlights here and there that are just going to help give more dimension to everything, really make everything pop. Okay, I'm gonna go put on the headband to hide my ears, and I'll be right back to show you the finished look. And this is the finished look. I remembered I had this cape, so I thought it was appropriate for the look. This took way less time than I thought it would. It's been exactly 4 hours since I started. I thought this was gonna take more than 6, so I am happily surprised. It is nowhere near as detailed as the original image, but I think it's a good interpretation. I mean, as far as face painting goes, I think it isn't too bad. I think it gets the message across. So yeah, I'd say I'm pretty happy with it. I would love to hear your thoughts on Diablo if you enjoyed playing the third one. I had fun playing it. I remember going to my friend Flavia's house so that we could play it together when it first came out, and that was a lot of fun. But as I said, still not my favorite. I do have good memories from playing it though. I'd also like to hear what your favorite Blizzard game is. That's probably a hard choice to make because they're all pretty awesome. So yeah, that's it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much to all my patrons who support me. If you want to become a patron and check out all the bonus videos that are coming out this month, then go to www.patreon.com/pompberry and be sure to tune in tomorrow for another day of Pomp-o-Ween. I'll see you then. Bye!